Hey fellas, epic gamers, how you guys doing? Kelter 3007 here, or Kelter, for those of you on the forums. Been away for a little while, my updates, but I figure I should put another one up. I was going to wait as usual because I just posted an update on YouTube, and I was going to wait for my next vlog, but I just made some pretty exciting, how I put it, discoveries as I was going along, and I decided I might as well post it now. I know you've probably heard this before. Um, I'm gonna do the usual thing. I'm gonna let you know the updates I've made to my project, Sanctity Lost, the UDK game. I'm gonna let you know what I've learned so far as I'm going along, and I'm gonna let you know what I'm working on and plan to do next, as usual. Well, starting off, the main reason I decided to make this vlog is I just learned how to make a proper looking character communication portrait on my HUD, which I guess you can call it a comlink. It's a little box on the HUD that shows you the character's face and their facial animation and their lines, their dialogue, which is looking pretty sweet so far. Previously, I had used a tutorial. I'm still using it, by the way. I just modified it. I used the tutorial. I guess if you go on YouTube and search for set external texture scale form or UDK review mirror, you should find it. He was pretty much talking about for those of you that are making racing games, to insert a review mirror on your HUD using scale form. And so using scale form and a render texture 2D actor, and using a camera, attaching that to the back of your vehicle, and getting a rear view mirror effect. So my plan was to use that to do my character portraits. Now for my talking characters, I have two models, two versions. One is the regular in-game character for regular maybe cutscenes. I really don't have cutscenes, but let me say in-game animations, and for the characters you get to fight. So they're pretty much just like the regular UT3 in-game characters. Then I have another version which is more of a character with facial animation and a little bit more detail. Think StarCraft. You go ahead and YouTube the quotes for your StarCraft units. You should see exactly what I'm talking about. And so I used that version, the facial animation version, and I used to use one render texture to the camera, and I used that to get the effect. So just like he was using his in-game camera for his rearview mirror, I had my little portrait or comlink box right there on my HUD, and then I used a render texture to the actor and the camera to switch between characters as they talk, which was okay, but it was a little bit how do I put it, clunky, and it was difficult to get the effect I was looking for. My main problem was it was always on. I couldn't figure out how to switch it off when my characters are done talking. So my solution was to put like maybe a little plane with that looked like it had how do I put it, scrolling text like a screen. So when the character is not talking, the camera was, how do I put it? The portrait camera, let me call it that. The portrait camera will be pointing at that plane, giving it the effect that on the portrait box there's text going on, and then when the characters are ready to talk, I'll actually rotate or move the camera up to where I put my models for the animation, and then switch between characters. When they're done talking, I move it back to the plane. The problem was, seeing as that thing is always on, the texture on the HUD, you would actually see the camera moving. You see the camera move away from the plane to the character, and then you see it move away to another character. I've seen as these characters are pretty much for facial animation, I just have only the head and part of the upper body of the torso. No arms, nothing. So you actually see the camera scroll through the model without the arms, and it looked weird and crappy. So I figured a way how to modify and upgrade that effect, where as the first of all, I made it look a little bit prettier, because he talked about making a mask for the texture in Flash, Adobe Flash, and I didn't figure that out correctly. So, and what the mask does pretty much is if you have a texture where you want that portrait to appear on, and the texture is not completely a square, seeing as your render texture 2D is a square, for those of you who use UDK, you know what I'm talking about. The entire texture is going to get imposed on the Flash texture, or the scale from texture, if you know what I'm talking about. If you go through the tutorial, you know what I'm talking about, and it's gonna completely cover it up. What a mask does is tell you what part of that texture you want the portrait effect to show on. And if you don't want it to be a square, if the mask is a circle, the texture is going to appear as a circle. But on mine, it's kind of like it's a rectangle, but it's not completely square. The edges of the rectangle are rounded, like a rounded rectangle, right? So I used that and made a prettier looking portrait HUD. I'm going to post an update after this video. You should see what I'm talking about, because I'm going to do like a before and after kind of effect. And I did that for one. I also put like a little blinking red light to give the effect of a comlink, and I also put a little text down there saying comlink, so it looks much better. And on top of that, I made the Flash texture look a little bit prettier. It looks more like a HUD item now. Coming down to the how do I put it, the portrait effect itself, seeing as what you see on the HUD is directly being rendered from the RTT. I'm going to call it RTT, which is the render to texture itself. It's kind of good for like a rearview mirror kind of thing, because it looks like a mirror. It looks like a total reflection. It's exactly what the camera sees. It doesn't have any effects to make it look like a screen. So what I did was first of all, I looked at the game Dead Space. I went ahead and googled Dead Space and Nicole hallucinations. If you're interested and you want to find the video itself, I YouTubed Dead Space Nicole and hallucinations, and looked at the first video, which was showing a feed of Nicole talking to Isaac on a little video thing, because I like their video effects. And I saw how they made it look it looked more like a screen. It had a bluish effect, and it was a little bit emissive, so it looked like a transmission. That's what I'm going. And then the screen had some of those of a lot of distortion, which made it look more like a screen. Now something like that is totally impossible to walk into what I was doing, because the way a render to texture works, the texture is being fed directly into the camera, and then what the camera sees gets posted to the HUD. There is nothing to put an effect in, it's just directly from the texture. But another way to use render to texture is to use a material. When you plug your render texture to a material, and you can add other effects and add those effects to the render texture and plug it into your material to look more like a screen. If you guys want, let me know on the forums, on Epic Game forums, and I'll be delighted to do a tutorial on how I achieve this effect. But long story short, when you do that and you plug that material into a mesh, maybe like you have a TV screen mesh or a hollow screen mesh, which I did have. I have done this before. You can, whatever the camera sees, get plugged into the mesh, and seeing as the mesh has the mesh's material has those effects going on, all of that effect is going to get plugged into the mesh, and the mesh is going to look like a screen, like an actual hollow screen, and like a transmission. But I was never able to figure out how to get that effect into my HUD. I already had some hollow screens and LCDs which had that effect already. So eventually I just figured it out over the weekend, or was it yesterday? I had my, and I don't know why I didn't figure this out earlier, I had my, I had two cameras on the scene, two scene capture 2D cameras on the scene. One will be pointing directly at the characters, and the other one will be pointing at a plane. I'm going to come to that plane later. What that plane is it's a screen, pretty much like the other hollow screens I had, but this screen is different, and I'll tell you that in a minute. That screen is connected to a material, that's connected to a texture, that's connected to the second render texture to the actor, the camera that's pointing at the actual characters, and the first one is pointing at the screen. So anything that screen is showing is going to get fed into the first camera that gets fed into the HUD. And this made my life much easier. That screen was, I put the all the effects I wanted into the material that gets fed into the screen. And so the screen glows a little bit like an actual screen. And I gave it a bluish emissive. I multiplied the render texture, render to texture texture by a vector parameter and made it a little bit blue. So it kind of shined blue and looked more like an in-game transmission. And what else did I do? Or how else did this make my life easier? Which is pretty much what this video is about. Oh yes, that made it much easier because for one, I didn't have to animate my main camera anymore. And secondly, how do I put this? Actually, sorry, let me just leave that alone for now. Another thing I learned, if you go on Google and look for videos that have to do with using Matinee in UDK to switch materials, just Google, just YouTube UDK Matinee material instant constant or something like that, and you'll see some videos. Look for the one by Micah Ferro. This tutorial helped me a lot. It shows you how to change textures within a material using Matinee. So I used that. I also put that part of the effects from that tutorial into my material. So by default, the plane or the material that's being fed into the plane will be showing a regular scrolling text. And then when I go into Matinee and start animating my characters and adding the sound, I switch the effect from scrolling text to the render to texture, which makes it much easier to transition between character and character. So you won't actually see the camera move. When the camera moves, the scrolling text is showing, and then as soon as the camera settles on a character, the scrolling text stops, and the first camera picks it up from the plane, and so it looks smoother. You will see what I'm talking about when I post my second video. So that's pretty much about it for that. Second thing I've been doing, I've been working a lot on static meshes for my levels. Jesus Christ, I spent 15 minutes talking about that. Sorry about that, guys. But yes, I've been working a lot of static meshes for my levels, and right now I'm working on the bigger meshes, maybe like stuff like storage tanks and big meshes. My levels are beginning to look more and more populated and realistic. I've also taken what else have I done? You looked at my last video. I made one more weapon. I finally made a pistol weapon, which I'm pretty stoked about. It looks good. I put a nice little muzzle flash effect for that guy. So I pretty much used the Enforcer from UT3 as a reference when I was making the muzzle flash. So it looks cool and realistic. That's pretty much about it for now. I haven't done much on characters. I'm already planning on the kind of characters I'm going to have for Sanctity Lost 2, which is, I think, is going to be much better than this one, because I'm going to have all the experience and it's going to be cool. Right now I'm working on a new weapon. Actually, I'm still working on my static meshes for the levels. I'm trying to populate my levels, but I haven't done much on scripting. But I also plan to redo the Hazer weapon. The Hazer is the flamethrower. I pretty much went ahead and copied the flamethrower they had in what's that game, Team Fortress 2, and I don't want to get sued for that or called out. So I'm actually going to have to use my own head and fashion a flamethrower. I already have a concept ready to go, and by tonight I should be done with that. You should see that in my next update. In my next 2 updates, let me put it that way. So far so good. I also plan to make one more level. I thought I was done, but I figure I should kind of try to wrap my story up better before I move on to Sanctity Lost 2. Also, one more thing, I also plan on working on my main level. Oh no, not my main level, my main menu. It's going to be a level with the main menu that's going to be made in Flash. But that's all I have planned for this week, and I might not have all of it done this week. But once again, sorry for the rambling about my portrait HUD. I was pretty much excited and stoked about that. So I guess I'll see you guys around. Look out for that update. It should be coming up. I should post it about the same time I post this video. Alright, see you guys soon. Have fun. Peace.